No.
Cedric Riley is a
Resiliency.
resiliency expert dedicated to community leadership and success for himself and others. At the age of 7, he and his 5 siblings were placed in a Cuyahoga County foster care system due to parental neglect, and his life has been changed ever since. Though he had his siblings were placed in different homes, Cedric was able to adapt and learn the importance and independence and relationship building. After 8.5 years in foster care system, Cedric was adopted into a loving home in Cincinnati, Ohio, where he experienced many scholastic and professional success. Having enjoyed the honor of several leadership and academic calls throughout his time in Cincinnati, Cedric has decided to give back by speaking passionately to the youth, expressing that success is a choice. He also provides training and professionals who work with youth to enforce that their work does not go in vain. The Foster Prize training series delivers a powerful solution, determined to provide a source of motivation to the youth and a breath of fresh air to the leaders. Cedric believes that his work will uplift the community domestically and nationally. He is a columnist for Cleveland-based Bridge Media, LLC, and Triumph Magazine.
Amen. Thank you, Timothy. Now introduce him. Say, I introduce to you.
I introduce to you Cedric Riley.
Woo! Amen. Woo, Mr. Riley. Good. Woo! Yeah. Woo! Yeah. That's Antoine.
Haley Angel. How you doing, Michael? You doing good? Hi, Katrina, Deanna, and Sila,
Yes.
and Timothy.
Yeah.
Now, I got a favorite uncle, and he has this phrase that he says when he's about to get serious. He always says, "Here's the deal." So everybody say, "Here's the deal."
Here's the deal.
Well, success is a choice. That's
Yes.
the objective of today. That's the objective of today. Success is a choice.
Yes.
The objective of our lives is to become what?
Success.
Successful. Right? Pay attention. I need everybody's participation. This is very important. Success is a choice. Somebody tell me what success is. Huh? When you accomplish something. What else is success? Working hard. What else is it? What else is success?
Success is when you do something and then you get a better understanding of it.
Okay. This is what I feel success is. Success is sharing with others. Let's say that. Success is sharing with others.
Success is sharing with others.
Literally, if I told you something that would help you out in life, I shared that with you, right? Have you ever heard somebody say, let me share something with you, right? When you go to school, is your teacher sharing with you? Yes. When you go to church, is your pastor or your minister sharing with you? Do our mothers share with us? Or grandmothers? Do our fathers share with us? Well, or one of our fathers. The definition of success in my life has become sharing with others. Now, sharing is very important because sharing is how we were created. Earlier, we had a great presentation by Melissa about sex, right? Well, did your mom and your dad share in order for you to be born? Yeah, they share, right? So you are the product of sharing, right? What did they share in order to create you? Their body. Did they share love?
Yes.
How important is that?
Very
did they share
important.
love? Well,
They
did
should
did
have.
they share emotions that resemble love?
There you
Yeah,
go.
they did. Yes, they did. Your parents created you by sharing feelings of love. Now, here you are right here, the result of sharing of that energy, okay? How many of us have ever cracked an egg? Do you notice that there's an egg inside and a shell outside? Are both of those parts of the egg real? Yes, they are. Now, even though you crack the shell and throw it away, wasn't the shell still there? I mean, can you boil that egg and then take the shell off and it will be in the shape of the shell, even though it's an egg? Or could you scramble that egg and not know that the shell was there, but you know in your mind that the shell was there? Okay, this is a very, very, very important understanding about success. You are not just the inside of the egg. You are also the case around the egg. Now, where's the person on the egg? The person is inside the egg, right? I'm a person. You're a person. She's a person. We are all people, right? At the very first conception of you, were you inside of an egg? Yes. I'm not going to let y'all say the wrong answer. Yes, you were. But when you were born and you came out of that sack, that nest, all that was apparent was your physical body, right? So all you know is that I'm me, right? And when you look in the mirror, you only see yourself,
Hey.
right? When you go to school, you only see other people, right? But don't people continuously tell us that we have power around us? Don't people say that there is a shield around you? Don't people say that God is all around you? How many of us have heard that before?
Yes.
How many of us have heard people say there are angels all around you? How many people have heard this concept of something being around you that you really can't see? Can you see what's around you really? No. Is it there?
Yes.
Oh my God, round of applause.
Yes.
That's absolutely huge because you have an energy around you that exists whether you know it or not. We call that an aura. Say aura.
Aura.
You see this light bulb right here? Is there light around the light bulb even though there is a filament in the middle? Yes. There is light around you that you cannot see that's there. This is huge.
Yes.
You have power. Do you have power?
Yes.
Is power and love the same thing?
Yes.
Yes. Is love a powerful thing?
Yes.
Is love a powerful force?
Yes.
Is God love?
Yes.
Is God power?
Yes, he is.
Do you have power?
Yes.
Do you have power from God?
Yes.
Is that power in your heart? Yes. Your heart is full of the power of your mothers and fathers.
Yes.
Here's the proof. Are the lights on?
Yes.
No.
No.
Are the lights on now?
Yes.
We have to know that our light is on. We have to know that the light is on. How many of us have felt empty? Like you just empty inside. You don't know what's inside of there. How many of us have felt alone? How many of us have felt small? How many of us have had a really cool dream before and we wonder where that came from? I mean, where's the electricity coming from for the TV?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody close your eyes for a second. What color do you see? Black for the most part. Well, that's because there's lights out here.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go to sleep, is there a vision inside of your head? Yes. Is there power inside of you? Yes. Should we have vision? Yes. Should we see that vision when we close our eyes? Yes. Should we believe that there's nothing inside of us when we close our eyes? No. No. Thank you, Josh, for understanding that.
Amen.
See, the world doesn't believe that we can understand that concept. But what happens, and by the way, this is not playtime. These are the ordinary buildings that don't have the energy that you're made of. Is this energy or is this not energy? That's not energy. Is this energy or is this not energy? Is this energy or is this not energy? Am I producing energy?
Yes.
Which is more valuable, me or the building?
You.
These are ordinary buildings. And the people who are in these buildings, including our schools and other places, they believe that the power is in the building, right? But where's the power? In us.
Yes.
Now, what happens to the people who walk in and out of the buildings? They have sex with each other, right? Without making love and without knowing that they have power. And when they have sex, they make this power smaller. You go from this to this. Because it wasn't made in love. You just threw yourself away, right? You threw yourself away. And then you have sex with somebody else, and you go from this to this, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're just throwing your energy away. I mean, when we run down the street and we do something that doesn't help our lives, we're throwing our energy away. Now, do we have a lot of energy or not? Yeah. Well, here's another part of the deal. Do people pay for energy?
Yes.
I'm going to ask y'all again. Do people pay for energy? Yes. How many people's parents say turn the lights out? How much money do we pay for energy? A lot. How much money are you worth then, therefore, if you can make your own energy?
A lot.
A whole lot.
That's
right?
right.
I mean, this much or this much?
This much.
This much. So instead of throwing away this energy, if we keep it, then we become strong like a light bulb, or we become strong like the sun. Raise your hand if you're somebody's son.
Oh.
Raise your hand if your mother is someone who you appreciate just like the sun that you love outside. See, we made a light. We're basically stars. Everybody say, I'm a star.
I'm a star.
Now, when we throw away enough of this energy, it's only the yolk inside of the egg left. And now you don't have any more energy because you threw it away. Mm-hmm. Should we keep throwing away our energy?
No.
No, this is what our parents are trying to tell us. Stop throwing yourself away. You're huge.
That's right.
You're valuable.
Yes.
You're rich.
Yes.
You're rich.
Thank you, Jesus.
Say, I'm rich.
I'm rich. That's right.
This is why success is a choice. You can choose to be rich, or you can choose to believe that you are nothing and that you have nothing. And that's your choice. Either way, if you be patient, you will receive an abundance.
Yes.
A harvest. That's what Miss Goldie talks about. As a matter of fact, imagine that you a big old ball of gold. Now, when we bully somebody, because see, the excuse is being taken away now. This person has all of this energy, but he looks like a little scrawny little punk, right? Just like me, right? This is me when I was on the football team. This is me. And this is the defensive lineman. Right? But what he doesn't know is that the energy around me is bigger than his person, and the energy around him is about the same as the energy that's around me. Mm-hmm. So what happens is this is a misunderstanding. Nobody's bigger than anybody. Mm-hmm. Nobody's bigger than anybody.
Yes.
No more smaller than anybody either.
Yes.
But when we bully somebody, we make them believe that their energy is not there. They go from this to when you punch them or you hurt them, they believe that they are now that. And when you bully them again, or you hurt their feelings, or we tell our family members or our friends that we don't care about them, that we don't love them, that they don't deserve love, then they start thinking that they're this. And when they can't find anybody to say that they love them and give them some love, and
Come
just
on
love them,
now.
then they turn into one of those.
Jesus.
And shortly thereafter, hey, I'm just a dot. I don't know nothing. I ain't seen nothing. I ain't heard nothing. I don't live by anything. I don't stand for anything. I don't have anything. And it was never true. We killing ourselves, y'all. This is never true.
Yes.
This is never true. This is always true. This is always true. This is why success is a choice. Know that you're very wealthy. Wealthy in mind and wealthy in spirit. And you will grow. Because it's there already. It's a treasure in your chest. There's a treasure in your chest.
Yes.
My first lesson in life came from my grandmother. That lesson was to iron my slacks and keep my family first. That lesson was to iron my slacks and keep my family first. Meaning my younger sisters at that time were a huge part of my world. Raise your hand if you connected to your brothers and sisters. I mean, you really feel them, right? Right? You connected to them, right? And we just discovered that you're a ball of energy, right? Now you're connected to another ball of energy. This is absolutely huge. This is you. That's your brother. That's your sister, right? Or your cousin, or your auntie, or your uncle, or your mother, or your father, or your grandfather, or your auntie, or your other cousin, or your other cousin, or your friend that you love, or your other friend that you love, or your teacher, or your mentor.
Yes.
Look how much energy that is. How much power do we really have? I mean, I'm getting ready to explode here. My grandmother told me to take care of my little sisters at that time. My mother was in jail because of leaving the house early and getting into different situations that ended up hurting her in her life. As early as I can remember, I lived with my grandmother. When I would come home, sometimes my grandmother would be laid out on the floor. She'll be passed out because she drank so much. And me and my brothers, me and my sisters, we would get down on the floor and we would pump her chest and we would breathe on her face like we knew CPR. And eventually our grandmother would wake up and she would finish cooking dinner and stuff like that. But our grandmother used to pass out on the floor and we would think that she was dead and that she would just wake up from the dead at a certain time in the night. Well, eventually, the people at school and the people in our neighborhood realized that our grandmother was having stress. She was having anxiety that she was relieving with alcohol, and they put us in foster care. All right? I was about 5 years old when this first happened. It was just me and my two younger sisters. We had a foster father and a foster mother who said, hey, if we have any problems, I have a switch and I have a billy club. He said, now let's go upstairs. We went upstairs. He said, your sister's going to sleep down there. And you, Cedric, is going to sleep down there. Now, at this time, they basically separated me from my sisters, right? Which didn't feel right. It didn't feel right to be separate from my sisters. On one particular night in this home, we had chitlins, potatoes, and spinach. Raise your hand if you like chitlins.
I used to.
I've never, ever like chitlins. This lady told me, if you don't eat what's on your plate, I'm gonna force feed it to you. Because I don't know who you are. But I took it upon myself to feed you. So you're gonna eat what I put on your plate. I refused to eat the chitlins, and she tried to stuff them in my mouth, and I threw up. I was whooped with a switch that night. We went to bed. Here was a place where I would be sitting in the living room building a Lego tower this tall. Legos were very important to me when I was little. And they would say, take down your Legos, it's time for dinner. I wanted to take the Legos and put them to the side because I took about 3 hours to make it like Tower City. He came back in that room 2 minutes later. He said, go outside and get a switch. Came back. I got a whooping. Me and my sister was so scared to tell the social workers that we were being beaten by these foster parents that we never told. But we moved back with our grandmother after about 3 months. After about 2 weeks of us being back with our grandmother, our mother had got free from jail. She had gotten free from everything. And she had also had 2 younger brothers now of mine. She had now had 2 more sons. My mother came storming across town. She came storming across town and banged on the door. And she ran into the house and she told my grandmother that she was taking us away. Now we weren't going to live with her anymore. And today, my grandmother would give her her children. My grandmother said, you're not ready to be a fit parent. My mother said, that's nonsense. She threw her money on the floor and she said, I'm ready. Give me my children. She said, Cedric, go upstairs and pack your bags. Chastity and Sierra, go pack your bags. You coming home to live with me and your 2 younger brothers. So we went and packed our bags. We drove with our mother across town to our new home. Got to live with our little brothers for the first time now. I had a curly-haired little brother. He had real curly hair, kind of like Twan. And I had a younger brother who always wanted to tag along because he was the youngest. He just wanted to tag along, right? Now, my understanding of life went from 1 to 2, 3, 4, 5 parts energy, right? We walked into the house. We had a big screen TV for the first time. But my mother had a girlfriend, which was kind of different. She didn't have a boyfriend. My mother had a girlfriend. So my mother was also working 2 jobs, and we went to church 4 times a week. We loved the choir. We loved the food. We loved the pastor. We loved the atmosphere. But eventually, my mother's partner said, I'm tired of this. You have too many children, and this is not the lifestyle that I want. So my mother's partner left. And then it became just my mom only, with all 5 of us. Now, after about 3 months, my mom started to feel the same stress and anxiety that my grandmother felt. And we were doing little mischievous things. I mean, I wasn't a super bad kid, but here's an example of something I did that was just not so cool, okay? So my mom had bought me this brand new bike. She said, don't touch this bike, because I want to be there when you ride it. I said, okay, Mom, don't worry. So she went off to work. As soon as she turned the corner, guess what I did? I only got the bike. I took the bike outside and I rode the bike up the street. And by the time I came back down the street, I had rolled over a piece of glass and had a flat tire. So here I was in a situation where I had to try to fix something because I didn't do the right thing. And what I did was I went through the neighborhood to try to find a patch. I couldn't find a patch. So I had to cut an old inner tube up to put it over the hole. You guys know about that? Well, you take an old inner tube, you cut off a piece, and then you glue it to the new inner tube, and then it's like a seal, like a patch. Well, I didn't have anything to seal the patch with, so I used honey. So, needless to say, by the time my mother got home, there's honey all over the tire of my bike, there's honey all over the hallway, and I can't explain why I have a flat tire. So I got my butt whooped on that day. But the point was that our relationship with our mother was changing now. Everything wasn't all good anymore. It wasn't all good anymore. And on one particular day, our landlord came down to the door and he said, y'all are being evicted. You guys have to move out. Y'all are behind on your rent. You're going to have to move out. So my mom said, okay, I know that I have to survive now with my 5 children. And you know my circumstance, but it's okay. My mom packed our things up and she walked out of the house and she took us right next door to Ms. White's home. She said, Ms. White, can we stay at your home for a couple weeks or 3 or 4 weeks? Ms. White said, yeah. Now, we would wake up every day in Ms. White's home at about 5 o'clock. We wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning so that we could take showers and eat breakfast before Ms. White's real family came over to her house. She was a grandmother and she cooked for her whole family. So we had to be out of their house by 6 o'clock every day. We go to school, come back, go to sleep, and do the same thing. Well, eventually, my mom didn't want to take up too much space in Ms. White's home. So my mom said, we're going to go to another place. So we took our things out of Ms. White's home, and we went up the street to the Green's home. My mother said, hey, will you watch my kids for a couple of hours? And the Greens said, yeah, we'll watch your kids. Well, after about 2 or 3 hours went by, it was like 11 o'clock at night, the Greens were upset because we weren't back yet. They were upset because my mother wasn't back yet, rather. And when my mom did come back, they got into an argument about where my mom was and why she didn't come and get us. Well, my mom said, I'm sorry, I was late. Give me my kids and we'll keep it moving. So my mother went to another friend's home where she said, can you watch my kids for a couple of hours? And she said, yeah. Well, my mom didn't come back until the next day this time. And when my mom came back, she already knew that they were getting ready to get into an argument. So she just told us to come on. And we left to another friend's house. Now, while we were going to church, my mom had met a man named Greg. Greg was a truck driver. Greg gave my mother the keys to his house and said, if you ever need a place to stay, then here are the keys to my house and you can come and stay with me, all you and all your kids. So one day when this truck driver came back home, he walked into his house and all 6 of us were sitting on his couch watching TV. Now, he had a choice at that time to kick us out or to not kick us out. But he didn't kick us out. He said, you know what, I'm going to help you guys to find a home. So our mother said, okay, we stayed there all the way up until the springtime. As Christmas came around, we watched everything that we were going to put into our new home build up in the living room. Everything that was going to go in our bedrooms, our clothes, our school supplies, and everything. We saw them building up. Now, on Christmas time, my mother told Greg, hey, I'll be back in a few hours, Greg. Now, what you guys think happened?
She didn't come back.
She didn't come back. She didn't come back. So he couldn't go on the truck route, but we didn't have a Christmas that year. We didn't have a Christmas that year. By the time February and April came around, they had found us a house. If you're going to go to sleep, sit in the back. If you're going to go to sleep, sit in the back. They had found us a house in about April. They walked into the house one day and they said, we found a home, guys. We found a place where we're going to stay. We were so excited. We was like, dang, we got our own house now, and we're going to get to live a normal life now. So we went, we got all our stuff. We drove this truck around to this house, and we ran into the house, and the door just swung open. There was no lock on the door.
Thank you.
And then we went to go flick the light switch, and the lights didn't turn on. And we said, well, wow, what else is going on in this house? Well, the walls were coming off the ceiling because they had been wet and water damaged. This is what's called warping. They were warped. There were roaches. It was a smelly place. We went in the basement. The basement was flooded with water up to here. We could never go in the basement. So we went upstairs. There were 5 bedrooms in this house. 5 bedrooms in this house. This was a big old house, but it was a condemned house. Meaning it's not legal to live in this house. Mm-hmm. And here we were with our own bedrooms, living in the dark, washing our clothes in cold water by hand in the dark. I washed my brothers and sisters' clothes by hand when I was 7 years old in the dark, so we could have clean clothes for school. In the wintertime, our food was stored in a garbage can full of snow. That was our refrigerator, our garbage can full of snow. On our first night in this home, we all sat Indian style on the floor, and we had blue box macaroni and cheese and chicken, shake and bake chicken. And even though we weren't sitting at a table, even though we weren't sitting in chairs, we appreciated that we were having dinner as a family. Little did we know things would continue to change. Every day when we woke up, we either caught the school bus or we missed the school bus. We were smart, we had energy, but we didn't always make it to school. Now, when we didn't make it to school, we would go to the free lunch program, and we would also see all the different things that my mom was getting into while we were at school. So we saw the parties, the nonstop music, the alcohol, and the drugs, which all went wrong on one night. It was about 10:30 at night. It was pitch black outside. We lived on a one-way street. It's dark. Full moon. My mother's having a party on the porch. Me and my brothers and sisters are standing in the window, watching, observing. We're hungry. They're having a party. I don't know what went wrong, but a guy pulled out a gun on my mom and put it to her head. Now, my mother stood in the middle of the street with a gun to her head in front of me and my brothers and sisters. We was horrified. We were horrified. Well, my grandmother had come to stay with us at this time, and she stormed out of the house. She said, "Don't you dare shoot my daughter. If you're going to hurt anybody, hurt me." And now my grandmother put the gun to her forehead. Well, Dino got some type of a call from God that night because he didn't pull that trigger. But what he did do was he told his sister that we weren't going to school and that they were doing drugs and that they were partying endlessly. And so the next day when we came home and we happened to have our report cards, our mother laid across the bed with a sad face. And we asked our mom, "Mom, what's wrong?" She said, "Be quiet." A social worker came by today. And that social worker told me that she wanted to come back and take y'all from my home. She said, "But don't worry, I told that social worker, if she wants to remove y'all from my house, she's going to have to bring the entire police of Cleveland in order to take y'all out of my house." About like 7:30, 8 o'clock, social worker pulled up with the police. And just like that, our life changed. Just like that, we got split up. Just like that, we went from having a sense of bigness to now feeling small. Just like that. When we got taken out of our mother's home, they separated us. Me and my two little brothers in one home, and my two little sisters in another home, all the way across town. They just came, took us out of our house, and here we were just feeling like we just were lost for answers. Our foster mother said, "Look, I don't know who you kids are and where you guys have come from. But if you never had name brand shoes, name brand jeans, and a Catholic school education, that's what I'm going to provide for you." Well, this was a parent who gave us the same thing every night for dinner. Gave us the same meal every night for dinner. And when my brother got in trouble in school, or my younger brother even got in trouble at school because he was so angry, he had so much energy bursting out of him because of what we were going through. Well, she had it all up to here. And she kicked us out. Well, when we moved with our next foster parent, she said, "Look, I don't know who you kids are and where you guys have come from. But if you've never had the best in life, if you've never had everything you ever wanted, that's what I'm going to provide for you. All you have to do is call me Mom." She said we had to call her Mom. Now that was hurtful to me because I knew who my mom was. I wanted to live with my mom again someday. And here I am in the 4th grade, almost getting straight A's. But I don't know my mom, and I've never known my father. But this mom started being so abusive to us, including her own children, that it became unbearable. I mean, when she punched me in my face because I came downstairs a minute too late, I was able to take it because I was tough. But when my little brother got in trouble one day in school, and she waited until we were laying down, and she called my little brother into her room at 10 o'clock at night, and she punched him in his face, and she strangled him, and chased him around the room to the point where I could hear my little brother, my little curly-haired brother, screaming and crying. I cried myself because that was my little brother, and I said, "You know, we can't live here no more." So I went to school the next day, and I told them what was happening at our home, and that we could never go back there no more because she was abusing us. Well, they said, "Before you even finish that sentence, we were looking for you anyway. We need to take y'all to counseling." So they took us out of school, and they took us to counseling. I'm thinking, what's going on? How are you just going to take me to counseling in the middle of the day? In the middle of the day, they took us to counseling for no reason. We got to counseling, our sisters were there. My other two brothers were there. We hadn't seen each other in months. They sat us down at the table. Our social workers were there and everyone. And they said, "We don't know how to tell y'all this, but y'all mother died. And y'all mother wasn't found for 4 weeks. And we don't know how y'all mother died, but y'all mother is gone now." And I sat there. And I went to a place very, very, very deep down in my heart where I knew I would have to be for the rest of my life if I was going to be successful. Because I felt like a whole humongous part of my shell had been taken away. So I found out it was as a surprise that my mom was dead. And we went back home, and on the day of the funeral, our foster mother, the same one who was abusive, sent us into the Silverman to get some shirts. We came up with the wrong size shirts because we didn't know any better. She said, y'all got the wrong size shirts, I'm not taking y'all to y'all mother's funeral. She did end up taking us. She received a calling from God, I guess. Took us to our mother's funeral. That was the first time we got to see our real family in years. Well, shortly thereafter, we moved to another home where our foster mother said, look, I'm not here to be your mother. I'm not here to give you the love that you never had in your life. You need to follow the rules, and I'm going to give you $20 a week for allowance. Follow the rules, and I'm going to give you $20 a week for allowance. She didn't care that our hair was brushed, that our hands were clean before we went to school. And when my younger brothers and I misdirected our energy that we didn't know was all around us, we didn't know we were surrounded by all of this energy, she said, it's time for y'all to move. So now we moved about 4 times. We moved into this lady's home where she said, have a seat in the living room. I'll come get you guys when I'm ready. We sat there thinking, well, what's this going to be like? What sorts of promises is she going to make to us and not keep? And she came in there, she said, everybody come into the kitchen. And she had been cooking dinner. Well, she gave everybody at the table a pork chop. And then she handed me a whole basket of French fries. So I thought to take a couple fries and to what? Pass the basket. She stopped me before I could pass the basket and she said, Cedric, that entire basket of fries is yours because I don't know if you ate yesterday. So eat as much as you need because I don't know if you ate yesterday. She said, in this household, you're going to do good in school because I know you can. You're going to take care of the clothes you have because I know you can. You can have anything that you want to eat. Just respect this house because I know you can. So then I started learning about celebrating holidays. I started learning about putting up decorations. I started learning about taking care of the yard. I started learning about the 12 days of Christmas and sitting down and talking as a family. I started learning what it meant to be a family. Everybody get a person next to you a hug real quick. This is family. This is what life is really about, y'all. This is what life is really about, everybody. Yeah. This is what life is about. I started learning about this with this family. And eventually, this other family came along after we had been there for about 2 years. And they said that they wanted to adopt us. Well, this made me very sad because I finally had found some parents who really just wanted to show me love. Well, my younger brothers had to move with this family. I didn't move with that family, but my younger brothers did. And she said, you know what, Cedric? Your brothers, they need a father and a mom and a dog and a fence. Let them have that. But you want to be adopted, so I'm going to find a way to have you adopted into my family. Well, she called her daughter who lived in Cincinnati, which is 4 hours away from here, and she asked her daughter if she'll be willing to adopt me. And her daughter said yes. So I moved again. I moved again to Cincinnati. Now, I took a walk when I got to my new home. It was about 8:40. You know when the sky is about that color blue, but it's getting darker, right? So I said, hey, Mom, I'm going to take a walk. She said, okay, babe. So I'm taking a walk, I'm thinking, dang, I kind of did go through a lot just now. I know I'm only 15, but I kind of had a lot of experiences, right? I'm like, I remember those experiences, and I learned a lot from them, and they made me appreciate myself and my brothers and sisters and my family. They made me appreciate love. Matter of fact, these things have built me up. Everything I ever been through had built me up. And you know what, as I was walking, I said, I just might be a skyscraper. And I kept walking. And little did I realize, because I'm thinking I'm still in Cleveland, that there was no street lights. So I couldn't find my way back home. It took me like an hour to find my way back home because I'm thinking I'm in Cleveland and there's street lights. But down there were no street lights. I realized I had to change my way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I had to change my way of thinking. You're not nobody. If you've been through a lot, anything you've been through, everybody has gone through things. Those things have built you.
Yes.
Those things have built you. God has been all around you the whole time. Remember the beginning of this, right? God has been all around us the whole time. All these things have gone on. I said, you know what? That's true. I'm going to go to this new school, in this new environment, and I'm going to give it all I got to be successful. I'm going to give every inch and morsel of my energy to be successful. And I believe success is a choice, even though we've had some hardships in our lives. Now, by the time I graduated from high school, with all A's and B's except for one C out of all of high school, I had become a varsity wrestler, a varsity football player, a photo editor. I was on a superintendent's leadership council. I won more than 7 different academic excellence awards, more than 7 different leadership awards, and I became the president of an organization called DECA, where I was the president over 5,000 people. Little old me, that could barely read and write, but was very intelligent and very vocal and had a lot of energy. I did something. The things that I had gone through had propelled me to become someone. And that's exactly what I did. Shortly after I graduated from high school with about $150,000 in scholarship offers, and I was going to the Ohio State University, I also had a job or an internship with the Fortune 500 company, Wake Up, where you can go to the back, called Cintas. They taught me a lot about being a professional. They taught me a lot about working with people. They taught me every single person has something to share with you that you can benefit from. Meaning there's 11 different mountains of good information in this room right now. I'm not the only one with good stuff inside.
Mm-hmm.
We all have good stuff inside.
Yes. Amen. That's right.
Well, I became a motivational speaker simply because I wanted to come and meet you all and let you know that success is a choice because of what you've been through. Success is a choice because of what you've been through.
Yes.
Somebody has sang in my lifetime, this little light of mine. I mean, we've talked about energy, we've talked about the sun, we've talked about love, we've talked about power. The fact of the matter is God gave you a light too.
Yes, he did.
And we're gonna continue to shine that light.
Yes.
And let it grow.
Yes.
I care a lot about you guys already, and I wish y'all the most success that you go for in your own future. Peace.
Amen.